Zach, nice book of rides coming up on a big day's racing this Sunday. YING Rising is one of them. Very lightly raced horse, untapped potential, and had a protracted battle with Wonderbar last time, and you'll meet again.
Yeah, so we probably reversed the gates a little bit this time. I drew inside him the other day, and he draws inside me this time. But yeah, we had a nice run in the race. I thought that we had it. My horse gave everything he could. And Wonderbar is obviously a serious horse himself, and he kept fighting, and the bob went his way. So it was a little bit disappointing, but my horse lost no admirers in his effort. I thought he was very tenacious in the way he did it.
Yeah, he was very good indeed, and obviously slightly better off at the weights with him this time as well. So I imagine you'd be certainly relishing having another crack at him.
That'll help for sure, but we just need to navigate a path from the gate.
Given the way he won on debut, he was obviously much the best there. He was a little bit closer. Is that always an option with him in this race? I mean, it seems like it's a race in two, potentially, between you and Wonderbar again. But is he a horse that you'd maybe like to ride that bit closer, possibly, given, now that you've already raced against Wonderbar the once?
Well, it just depends on, the opposition we face every time we go out there. Every race is a little bit different tactically, and it'll depend how he begins as well. But he's a versatile horse. He's led in trials. He's sat outside the lead. He's taken a sit. He's got a really good brain, and I think that's going to take him a long way.
He certainly looks versatile. He certainly looks very talented as well. Have you had a chance to sit on him since that run?
Yeah, I worked him the other morning. He's in good form, so I'm looking forward to riding him.
He's a horse that certainly has something, doesn't he? I know David's always thought quite a bit of him, and obviously his trials form has always suggested he was going to be smart, but he certainly has all the right minerals, doesn't he?
Well, he's got a good brain, and although he's not fully developed and mature and as strong as he's going to end up, he's doing a good job for where he's at, and I think he can continue to improve as he goes along.
Frankie Law, you've got a very interesting runner second up this weekend by the name of Super GOLDI in race 6. Perfect start to his career, nice win on debut. Talk me through it from your perspective.
Yeah, the first start he got a good draw one, more easy for him. He's one really good that day. Yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah.
He showed a bit prior to that run in his trials. Were you fully expecting him to run a big race like that on debut?
Yeah, I think he will run good, but for me, he win the race. I think made me really happy because first start he can win the race.
He's a horse, Frankie, who cost a few dollars at the sale, 4.6 million at the ISG. So I guess there was a bit of pressure there for you and his connections. Still a bit green though in the run. So are you confident there's still a bit more to come from this guy?
For me, he looks a bit improved, but he's still learning, and this time he carry big weight, so the jaw's not really good, jaw 9, to see how he's jumping. Yeah.
He's by Tavistock. Now, I had a look at his pedigree, and it would suggest that in time he might get a bit further. From your riders and those that have ridden him, is the suggestion that maybe in time he could get that little bit further, or is 12 his trip for now, do you think?
Yeah, he can go a bit further because you can see he's not a big, strong horse. I think later on he can go a little bit further, 14, 16, yeah.
Zach, big day coming up on Sunday. It is, of course, the Stewards Cup, a race you've got a pretty decent history with. Beauty Eternal is your ride. You must be looking forward to getting on him again.
Yeah, he's an exciting horse. He's got a good record. It's a fairly even race. I think it's just going to come down to how the races run and tempo of the day and track bias and all those things. But at the end of it, I think who gets the best run in the race is probably going to come out the victor.
I had a chat with John Size. Now, obviously, he trains the horse, knows him extremely well, etc. He seemed to be of the opinion that the occasion on International Day may just have got to him that little bit. What was your take on
it? Possibly. His attitude, as we know, can get the better of him a little bit at times. The big crowd might have sort of wound him up a little bit more, but I ended up a little bit further back than where I ideally would have liked to have been, and the pace of the race didn't really suit me, and he travelled a little bit strong. But in saying all of that, it was a good opportunity for him to sit back the way he did and really attack the line strongly. And if anything, I was pretty disappointed with his last furlong's effort. I thought he should have, like I said, got out after them a little bit more than what he did. So it is what it is. The occasion might have got to him, the tempo of the race might have got to him, but Yeah, he's a horse that just does a couple of little things wrong and just wants to travel a little bit too strong during the running of the race. And you know, when you're as tense as that, it can sometimes gas you a little bit, and I think it did on that occasion. But he gets his chance to try and atone here.
I mean, it's interesting you say obviously the last 12 months have been sort of very up and down for him, but more up than down with obviously 7 wins. I know you've only got the tapes to watch, but a couple of trials. Obviously, Brenton Avdulla's kept the saddle warm for you. You're happy with what you've seen?
He's not a brilliant trialer on the dirt. It's not his preferred surface, but as long as he rolls around there and gets the required amount of exercise that he needs, that's all he's there for. And you know, he's a much better horse on firm, rock-hard ground on race day.
Special race this for you and John, isn't it, really? I mean, obviously, I think this was your first big Group 1 here, and obviously Whyte recently as well. So it's always a race I imagine you look forward to riding in.
Yeah, it is. Any of the Group 1s are good to be in, and it's good to have another chance. And, you know, John's been more successful than I have in it, so I'm not going to catch him, but it'd be nice to win another one for him.
I'm sure it would be. And you're back in the winning groove as well. Obviously, you had a nice break, nice refresher there back in the winner's circle at Happy Valley. Did you have a good time on holidays? It looked like you had plenty of fun.
Yeah, we did. We had a great time, actually. You know, I've been here for 16 and a half years, and I very rarely miss a race meeting. I've been a fairly good soldier all the way through, and I think in some respect I've probably earned those couple of meetings off that I had. And, you know, our kids are at an age where mum and dad are still their best friends, and that's not going to last for long. But while we are, we've got to try and make the most of it. And unfortunately, when the season went to 88 meetings, it just means we don't have any breaks during the season. So you can never plan ahead for anything, especially during winter, and it gave us a good opportunity to use that time to take the kids to see the snow, which they'd never seen before, and to the Magic Forest where they met Santa. And, you know, Roxy's at an age where, you know, Santa's still special to her, and if we had waited too much longer, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. So we sort of had to go while we did, and they really enjoyed it. It was very cold. Like, I've never been in cold like that in Finland, but it was a good experience. I enjoyed the Huskies, and we had a great time in Verbier skiing. So all in all, it was really good to go away. I've come back really refreshed. I feel like I'm starting the season again, so I feel like I'm starting to get a lot of enthusiasm. And, you know, who knows, maybe it might be the catalyst for us all to have a little bit more extra time off during the season, which, you know, we're here 6 days a week riding track work. Some guys ride 7 days a week. We've got barrier trials Tuesday, Friday, races Wednesday, Sunday. You know, we're on a horse every day. It's a grind for 10 months. We don't have the luxury of getting to pick and choose when we have time off, only when we're suspended, which we don't want. And then you've got to make last minute plans. So it was nice to plan something in advance. It worked out well, and we appreciate that the club gave us that opportunity.
He's come a long way. He's done everything I've really asked of him, and I sat on him yesterday morning for a turf gallop, and he feels amazing. I think the break has done him the world of good. But besides that, he's really aggressive, and he wants to get back to races. He's missed it, and he's feeling good. So it looks. I'm not going. I think everybody knows it's a foregone conclusion that 1600 is way short of his true distance. But he's got to have a starting point, and he's got to get some real miles and racing rustiness out of the way, and it's a good starting point. But from the horse's health perspective, and from the way he feels, and from what I see, he's doing fantastically well, and I'm happy with him.
John, race 8 on Sunday's programme looks an interesting contest over a bit of distance. You've got a couple of runners. Let's start with ENSUED, who's really coming on leaps and bounds, and another smart win last time.
Yeah, he's made a big impact on with his racing. He's started off with a win immediately, and he's built on that. So he's been a good find for racing in Hong Kong. He's going very well.
He's had only a couple of goes over the distance. He's won both of them. Has he sort of surprised you with what he's been able to do? I mean, that win first up, for example, it takes a good horse to sort of do that.
Yeah, well, he showed us that he didn't have much pace, and he was going to be a staying horse. So I put him in an 1800 first up, which is a little bit unusual, but that's what he was looking for. so he got to come through that quite well. Won again, done everything correctly. He's a horse with a good temperament, very quiet, and he enjoys his racing.
You've given him a break up in Chungfar as well. He has trialled there. Were you pleased with that trial?
Yeah, it seems to be in good shape. Everything's working. He's in good order. His trial was normal for him. He's not a good trial horse, of course, being a stayer, but he looks good. I would expect that he'd run well again.
And just without obviously putting the cart before the horse, John, obviously a lot of talk of 4-year-olds, etc. But I guess with this guy and just the sort of his makeup and what he's done, are you sort of looking towards maybe more a derby with him than the other two legs possibly?
I think he'll run in the Classic Cup, the 1800. We'd probably miss the mile. We might be wasting our energy there, maybe give him some easy time before the Classic Cup and then go into the Derby.
He's going to be joined in this race, John, by BOURBONAIRE, a horse we know loves a bit of cut in the ground. I guess he's a bit of a sort of hostage to fortune because is he very reliant on that sort of ground? Is that your opinion of him as well, like many might be?
Yeah, it appears so. I mean, he can run a good race on a dry track, but he's more inconsistent on the dry, and on the wet track he hasn't had many to get a good guide or history of him. But he certainly excels on the wet track. So sadly, he's not going to get one of those in the winter time. But he's probably going to drop a little bit of rating before the rain comes, and then he might win a race later on the season.
Let's hope he does. Obviously, two strong chances there. I must just ask you about Beauty Eternal as well in the big one, a race that you've had a great history and you've almost farmed it down through the years, really. How is he?
He's in good shape. He was in very good order going into the International Mile, but I think the big occasion might have been just a little bit too much for him on that day. He was a little bit nervous and he was a bit strong in the run, but the race, the run was still sound. He finished beside Beauty Joy, who they finished with each other the previous start. So I think probably the run was pretty good for the Stewards Cup. This is a lot less of an occasion, and it gives some of the other horses a chance to win a Group 1 race. So I think he ran very well. He seems to be in very good order.
Just finally, John, I mean, given this is a Group 1, obviously I mentioned your record in it is a very good. I think it's 7 wins now. How much is this a race that you target? I guess if you've got a horse capable at a mile at this level, you're always going to run it regardless. But is it a race that you always sort of circle in the calendar, wanting to have a good runner in it and try and win it again?
No, it doesn't work like that. I'm circling the International Mile. Usually I can't win it, and then 5 weeks later they turn up in the Stewards Cup ready to win. So that's been how it's happened. But I aim a little bit too high. But if I can get the Stewards Cup, I have to be satisfied with that.
Brenton, Lost Child is your ride in the last race on Sunday afternoon. He's a horse that you're getting to know well, and he's holding his form nicely.
Yeah, he's been racing really well, Nick. He's obviously won well for me there in Class 4, and now he's up to Class 3 at the bottom of it. But racing well, racing consistently. He's met some pretty strong, stiff Class 3 oppositions too. So I've got no doubt he's got a win capable at this level, but he's just going to need things to go well on the day.
I guess what he does have as well, Brenton, as a positive, is a much better draw. His last couple of races, 10 and 13, he now gets 7. So that probably gives you options from there, does it?
It does. Look, he's not a horse who probably wants to be ridden on speed. They've ridden him on speed a couple of times and he hasn't finished. And sort of when he won well for me, he was off speed and just made a looping run around him. So he's a horse who probably appreciates a little bit of room, but at the same time, he's probably not good enough just to circle. So he just needs a little bit of things to go his way. But like I said, I think he's there to run well again.
How's he felt since then, Brenton? Have you had a chance to have a sit on him for Michael?
Yeah, galloped him a couple of times. He galloped down the back straight the other day and on the grass, felt good. So the runs aren't hurting him. He's moving well, so that's all we can take into it.